Welcome back to the skating session. My name is Tony Wheeler,
And I'm Thomas Vu.
and we are here to wrap up the Olympic qualifier competition, the Skate to Milano. We've already highlighted the women, the pairs, and the ice dance competition. We still have to go over the men's competition, full of, I guess, excitement and heartbreak, but this is the one discipline where it really kind of hurt because there's so many skaters that have been out there forever trying to get this Olympic spot. But
Yeah,
unfortunately,
right.
yeah, it didn't work out for so many of them. Like we keep
Mhm.
saying, and we've said since we started this YouTube channel, the men's competition is really it's just so much depth, and there's so many really good skaters that aren't even close to qualifying for the Olympics. And I think that's just a testament to where we're at in this discipline these days.
And in particular, this competition was so much that felt just like, on a blade's edge and I was edge for whatever metaphor you want to use. Like it's still difficult to digest, even for me. I remember watching it and to think like some of these performances I enjoy the most didn't earn a spot.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, wonderings going on into this competition, I should say. What is Gumanik's form in a free skate? We saw that he was pretty good in the short program. We saw
Yeah.
clips of what he's capable of, but he's under pressure internationally for the first time in 4 years. So, how is that going to stack up? Donovan, the really big surprise of the short program, as we said, very inconsistent skater creeping in with these under rotations and kind of sketchy jumps. Would he be able to hang on for a spot? uh, Anyone outside the top five. We talked, there was a skater in 16th or 17th place that we said, potentially if he's really on, he could climb up into those top spots. So, did any of that happen? We're going to review it all. Let's start off with
Right.
the judging. I guess like our view of how the judging went as a whole before we get into these individual.
Yeah. I definitely felt like the calling wasn't great. It was like, we talked about ice dance, how it felt consistently pretty harsh, but in a good way,
Hmm.
right? Like I was
Hmm.
fully okay with it. If you're gonna have the standard, set it across the board. And I'm one of
Hmm.
those like let everybody see Shinamano in singles and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's what I really want to see. But here that wasn't applied evenly across the board. It felt like some
Hmm.
skaters, it felt like they looked the other way. Um, and then
That's 90% of the
yeah,
time that's what happens. They
exactly, right. It's typical.
selectively. Yeah.
And then the GOEs were just really bad, like inconsistent GOE scoring from the judges. Where I feel like again there was definitely some nationalism going
Mm.
on with
Mhm.
some of this.
One
I
thing
don't know
that
what
you
your
pointed
take
out that I
was.
did not notice is
Yes.
Lee, the skater who ended up sneaking in there
Oh,
for that fifth spot. He was not given credit for his triple flip, double axel, which would have been, I'm assuming, would have been his fifth jumping pass in his free skate.
yeah. If you didn't get the 10% bonus, exactly. Yeah. When, because I looked on here and I saw only two jumping passes got the
Did he do it
bonus.
after
And
2 minutes though?
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I looked at the thing, the YouTube timeline,
Hmm.
but it just wasn't called here. I know there's a very short window before scores are posted for the team to say anything.
Yeah, but that's like
Um,
a defaulted, that should be automatically applied as far as this shouldn't be any
no, I think
extra computer
the panel
programming or
doesn't.
anything.
No, the panel still has to like say this is a 10% bonus jump.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Hmm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Wow, interesting. I mean, that should
And
be something much like I've said this for a long time, but if you have skaters that are making these multiple disruptive errors in a free skate, then you need to void out any PCS that they're not able to achieve because of the rules, because this is what it says. It would be such an easy fix for the ISU to do rather than these judges saying, "Oh, I didn't know the most updated rules," or I kind of wanted to bend the rules because I thought the performance was still breathtaking. They should just void out these scores and be like, "You're
right.
starting at an 8.75, you're starting at 9, whatever it is."
I agree.
Much like these uh you can't really call it second half jump bonuses, but these last three jumping passes, as long as they're in the second half, this should automatically convert into a 10% bonus. So that would
You would
be,
think so, right?
yeah, simple.
I know, and I agree with you with the PCS. I know we're getting a little tangent here, but I still think back to Chalk and Bates falling at Worlds and
Hmm.
judges literally giving them PCS that weren't allowable under the rules.
Hmm.
That was
Yeah.
still a choice. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Anyway,
understand from their point of view, like that wasn't on an element, blah, blah, blah. But the rules are there for a reason, and if you need to follow them. And like I said, this is such an easy fix for the programmers to do. Just like don't give them the option to give that score. That's it. The end of the story. But I've said that for a long time, and they still haven't changed it. So that's another thing that's probably never going to happen. That would take 3 seconds to
yeah,
fix, but here we are. So yeah, I
yeah,
actually
exactly.
want to go back and probably look at Lee and just see what
Yeah,
happened.
no. So like, yeah, you definitely should. Because competition was so close.
Hmm.
Errors like that, like we'll talk about the impact or potential impact it could have had on him.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
yeah, no, I'm sure others can out there can confirm, and we'll go out and look at the timelines. So, was Thomas right? Like,
I'm sure you are, but it's just
um,
something I didn't pick up on.
yeah, yeah, I didn't look until I was going on Skating Explorers and seeing just the
Mm-hmm.
one or only the two jumbo classic moments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like at least in terms of the winner, no surprise. I think we both predicted Gumenek would easily get this out just due to the fact that he has the content. He has way more better skating skills in the field for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more difficult programs,
Mm-hmm.
better extension, performance quality, all of the
Mm-hmm.
above, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of weakness here. I'm not sure if it was nerves, but some of it's just inherent. I feel like it's technique, like that
Yeah,
opening quad flip. Oh, that
pre-rotated,
technique.
twisted.
He's
Yeah,
pre-rotating. You could see him rotating his shoulders and upper body before
yeah,
the pick,
yeah,
right? So that's always going to be, I feel like, a dodgy jump for him.
yeah. And the Lutz kind
And
of
I don't
it
even
you
know how he
saw in
controls
the
the
Lutz,
landing.
like it wasn't
Yeah,
even close. So, I've seen in practice, I believe, where he's landing. He landed the flip fine in both programs. It's not that he can't land it, but it's just he really twists his body. The toe pick kind of goes in and turns off of it, which he's not the only skater that has done this. But it is
right.
very apparent that this is just his built-in technique, and it leads to potential problems, as we saw. The Lutz. I have no doubt that toe pick twisting around was the reason why the jump went up how it did. But it
Mhm.
seems like more often than not he can land the jumps. So will they be called? I don't know.
Right. And here's the thing about here where it's like, oh, he had all these quads, right? So great base value, but
Hmm.
the quality of them wasn't great.
Hmm. Well, I
And
have
so I
to
don't
say
know if
though,
like in practice they were better.
I even so, um, I think that his overall skating quality is just divine. It's so
Oh,
the
it is.
step
Yeah.
sequence, the twizzles that he did in both directions, moving so easily and so effortlessly, really like I miss this kind of pacing and skating. And we talk about this with the Russian women, and it's not just that it's a Russian thing. It's just I believe it's the Tuparidze kind of method where the skaters
Correct.
are all
I agree.
given the same kind of formula for the program and they all plow through it more or less. I mean, Kosternaya didn't really do it as much. So I think that her skaters are capable of not really paint by numbers or whatever you want to call it. But you see Gumenik, he's so good in that PCS. I really think he's such a good skater. There's little things like he's not the fastest, but overall his skating quality is so good. He tells the story kind of uniquely
Yep.
every time out. You can tell that he's not just skating to the music or the choreography. He's giving it a little extra something. Um, Spins are still a weak spot. I was surprised actually that the spins kind of held their GOEs because they slow down also. We saw that in the short program big time. Um,
Yeah.
but I said this is Daniel Grassel PCS meter, but Peter just getting barely like it literally was basically an 8.0
Barely into
PCS.
the
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah, that's it's a
So
little bit of an insult to me. Yeah, especially if you're releasing the
100%.
Grassl scale here. Like to me, again, it's a solidly mid high eights. There's
Yep.
so much of it. The nuance in the choreography was just so good. He's so refined, especially
Hmm.
relative to the field, and even
Yep.
relative to the entire men's field today.
Yep. Yeah. I really
Um,
enjoyed him. I really enjoyed him.
me too. And
I
definitely
think
like if he go ahead.
I just think if he can clean up I'm not asking. There's no way between now and the Olympics he's going to suddenly have this completely reinvented quad flip technique or quad lutz technique or whatever. It's not going to happen.
Right.
We saw Shoma Uno win world championships doing less than three rotations off the ice and getting called for a quad flip. So the thing is, we already know the technical panels aren't going to really hone in on this. Blah blah blah. He lands the jump, he's going to get positive GUE. He can clean up a little, but I really think if he can just stand up and rotate the majority of his jumps, he's going to be in there for a medal because there's nothing. Now, Shidorov has cleaner jumps. They are a thing of beauty, but he also really
Yeah.
doesn't have a second mark. It's all vibes, but the vibes are even if you turn the music off, he's really just skating around the ice. There's not really a lot going on. Granted, I haven't seen him this year, but I would consider him to be one of the favorites for probably looking at a bronze medal fight between him and Adam, and I think you can also throw Peter into
Yeah.
this conversation just based on the overall quality, taking away maybe a quad
Yeah.
or two technique.
And we're not going to even have like a comparative comparison competition before that. It's all just going to be
Yeah,
from the Olympics. I would
yeah.
think nominally you're right with that, but he's in like that bronze medal hunt. Um, it really is just the PCS here lower than
Mhm.
Petrosian's. Like that's just
Well,
strange
well,
considering
it
the
was
quality
different
is so much
panels,
better.
but yeah, yeah,
Different panels, yes, very
yeah,
fair. But even then, it's just like it's the comparison is just he's so much better, right?
yeah.
Like it really is dependent on that. Like my prediction is that come the Olympics, he's gonna get equal PCS to Shadowov, but
Well, I mean, I guess I
we'll
have two
see.
questions. We already said in the short program, he now basically sits out the rest of the season until he gets to the Olympic individual event. He has no other way of really putting his name out there with international judges again to establish that this PCS should maybe go up. So, first question, at the Olympics, does he have any chance to see a big bump in the PCS? And second
Right.
question, I mean, if he's really you think that him not competing all season is going to be a benefit or a hindrance compared to the people that are getting out there five, six, seven, 8 times before they show up to the Olympics?
I think it all that would depend on whether or not how he would perform in the season. If it's like typical Russian men, it'd
Mm-hmm.
be wildly inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it would have really established him
Mm-hmm.
in any place at all. Unlike the Atari skaters, where I feel like because they're just so consistent all the time, they're barely
Mm-hmm.
making mistakes. They definitely have that PCS build as the season goes, as the results
Mm-hmm.
increase. Right. For
Mm-hmm.
this, I don't think we'll really see anything like that. I
Yeah.
think there'll be a little boost, like there's a boost for everybody at the Olympics. I still think back to the last Olympics where Kageyama was all of a sudden getting tens in the short program, where he probably didn't
Mm-hmm.
get any tens ever,
Yeah, that's very
right,
true.
before the
Yeah.
Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he beat Nathan in PCS in the short
Mm-hmm.
program, even. So even that, right? Like we
Mm-hmm.
might see something like that. I don't think so, though.
I don't think so either. I don't think that
Yeah.
I don't see that coming. I don't think he's very well rounded, but I don't think he's like elite enough to really
Right.
see that
Right.
huge
He's not
that
Kageyama
huge
skating
like
skills elite, where you're
yeah,
just like, oh, wow,
yeah.
I was
So
crying for no reason. Yeah.
well, you know what though?
Um,
Looking back at the history of Soviet and Russian men's skating, there's been so many standout skaters, and I think Peter can be thrown into this group. For example, I really love Alexander Fadeev. I think he is one of the
yeah.
most brilliant skaters ever. He was really big from about 84 to 1990, as long I mean, as far as amateur competition goes, but he had some really diverse skates, and then even into his pro career, there's some stunners. You had Vladimir Kotin, who ended up becoming a coach. He helped coach Maria Butirskaya to her world championship. He was a really big Soviet skater in the 80s as well. Then going into the 90s, I mean, the next skater that I would say really was on my radar was unfortunately Yagunin because I don't think much of him these days. But there's just a long line of kind of creative skaters, and you have Kondrashik is as wild as his technique was. There was something about him that I really enjoyed. Kolyada,
Same.
I'm in love with his skating. So I feel like Gumenik is the next in this list where he's really a standout, and I think that Russia did
I agree.
well to choose him as their skater because I do think he's overall very well rounded.
And when you think of like the field of Russian men's skaters and who has the best overall package, plus probably a better jump technique than others, and yeah, it is easily Gumenik.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. So okay, he
I don't know
wins
how
the
they chose.
competition by a lot. I think it was like 34, 36, some crazy margin. Which we expected
Mhm.
though. This is not unexpected. Next we had Kim from Korea, which I mentioned, he had this four continent skate last year, was out of this world. I had a feeling he would be in there. I didn't think he would finish second, honestly, but good for him. Lawrence of
Right.
Arabia. So I believe last year he skated to Dragonheart, which was like this vibes of Elvis Stoico from the 90s.
I
So
would just say his
obviously,
skating's very old,
well,
like
it's
90s.
very, yeah, it's like soundtrack music, which Eldridge and Stoico loved that soundtrack music like year after
Mhm.
year. So it is kind of a throwback to that. I think Lawrence of Arabia doesn't really go anywhere as a program, honestly. I think it's a bit
Same.
above him, at least for right now. We'll see what happens with it. Same problem as his teammate, Junhwan Cha. He really, really, I mean, even maybe to a higher degree, stalks the triple axel where he just stops
It literally
everything.
feels like the same technique, right? Whoever
They
taught them
must have had the
the actual
same
from the same
teacher.
person or
Yeah.
same school. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree with you a lot about that. Though I did say though, like, oh, Lawrence of Arabia is so old, it might be new again.
Oh
To
yeah,
see
it is.
skating of
Yeah,
Lawrence of Arabia
yeah,
today, right? I don't
yeah.
think we've seen a program to Lawrence of Arabia in like years that at least
A
I
while,
recall.
yeah,
But I think this is one of those slow and steady won the race programs here.
yeah.
Nothing was exceptional to me. No elements were done in a great, exceptional quality. Same with the jumps. I think his
Hmm.
jump technique's a little dodgy because
It's loose.
air
It's
position's
loose
so
in the air.
loose. It's
Yeah,
so loose in the air. Yeah,
yeah.
even the spins too, same thing. And I would say his body is way more expressive than his face. To
Hmm.
watch his like body do all these big like gestures to Lawrence of Arabia, and then his face just be
Hmm.
dead the whole
Hmm.
time. I think that is really just what held me back from getting invested in the program. Um, I think I see here he got fourth overall in PCS here, but the judges' rankings at PCS are from 2 to 10.
Yeah.
And probably more toward like the 10 to me than the two. You
Yeah,
know,
just based on him
um,
not really emoting, and
yeah,
that's it. He can grow into
exactly,
that
yeah,
still. If I remember, I know his four continent skate was so good, and I'm pretty sure he showed some excitement with that. So I think it's there.
okay.
Maybe he was just under a lot of pressure here. You
I
never know.
mean,
This
I think he's like
competition's
a lot of
like,
the skaters. You get a big personality at the ice, but on the ice, there's
yeah,
something that just keeps you closed, right? And
yeah,
that's what it feels like with me
yeah.
with Kim a lot. Mhm.
Moving on, Donovan. Okay, so I guess
Yeah.
rewatching the short program kind of review, and when I was editing it, I'm like, I was a little bit harsh on him. I
Okay.
didn't really expect much out of him in the free skate. I've just seen his practices enough to know that that technique is really dodgy, and I saw his skating earlier this season. And first and foremost, I'm going to say, year after year, he basically does these best of Mexican greatest hits kind of compilation in the free skate. This year, I think Benoit did the free skate, and he gave him this is the most mismatched program. It makes no sense for Donovan, in my opinion. That spark and that attitude that he typically has, I feel like it's not in there. The program editing is really
Right.
weird. The music choices are just weird. For me, it just doesn't go anywhere. After saying for so long, like, oh, he's kind of in the same style year after year, I kind of wish he would go back to that because I just don't feel this program at all.
Right. He's just being him, but in a different like style, doing all
Hmm.
the kind of like boulder school, Elvis, all that stuff. Like
Hmm.
I agree, there's a little bit of a mismatch. I
Hmm.
think they were just looking for something different that still allowed him to showcase that personality
Yeah.
and that performance quality. But yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So, well, let's
and
talk about so talking about the
yeah,
judging, I said in the short program that quad salca that he landed was a gift. In the free skate, there is no way that jump, I mean, it was called clean again, right? With the fall.
it was called, yeah, not even a cue
Yeah. I mean,
and
it
not
was
a
really
fall.
under
Somehow not a
rotated.
fall. I agree. Like,
Well,
because even
yeah, I saw that some of the judges went for -4 instead of -5 because the if you're talking about what they determined to be a fall, it has to be that the weight is off the feet and it's more so on something. I mean, you could say that it was on the
the weight
arms.
transfer.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
saw weight
Yeah,
transfer twice because he puts
yeah,
both hands down.
yeah.
And that's to me
So
too. The -4 is when you have a huge step out and hand down, that's a -5.
yeah,
Because to the
yeah.
landings,
Plus
there's
an
nothing
under
redeemable
rotated
about
jump,
it.
whether they call it or
And
not,
is
and
exactly right. Because it was under rotated. And you're supposed to, even if they don't give the cue, if it's almost cue, you're supposed to deduct for it as a judge. They just
so. And
doesn't
how
happen.
much, I mean, I know it was so tight right there, but I think if the jump would have been called under rotated, surely with if they would have called the short program one under rotated, I think that's enough to take
Yeah.
him out of the Olympics,
He could have been
honestly. It
out.
was that
I think
close.
so. Hmm.
So, talking about being meticulous and really looking at these jumps, I think he was given a gift in that regard. I really think that he was. And then we
Let me
also
see.
look, I mean, I don't want to keep honing in on his jumping, but like
No,
the
I
triple
think the
axle has no
quad.
speed, and then he gets
Yeah,
positive GOE for that. It's there were
I
better
think
triple
it's more
axles in the first
though.
group. So,
The under rotated quad actually was he still would have had just enough to stay in the top five,
but I mean,
even
in
if they
both
called a
programs,
carrot. Oh, both programs does.
yeah,
If those were
exactly,
actually
yeah,
called both programs, he's out of the
yeah,
top five easy.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree with that. And then even then, I felt like the triple flip was more than Q. They only called it
Hmm.
Q. So
Hmm.
that was another, just to me, it felt like a gift. And you still see some judges doing -3, -4.
The lot every single one of his toe jumps has a little bit of an issue, a little bit of a twist into it. Toe loop is
Mhm.
really pre-rotated going up into it. We call it a toe axle. It's kind of lost its way in skating terminology. We don't
I
hear it
know
as
everyone does a toe
that's
axle now.
yeah. So I'm very happy for a Mexican skater that on the resources that he's had and the way he's built himself up. I'm really happy he's able to go to a second Olympics. But again, this is coming
Mhm.
down to the way that the technical panel and the judges are kind of selectively boosting certain skaters and looking the other way for others. I mean, we can argue till the end of time that they're going to say, "Oh, but our camera angle was not good." I mean, this has been the story of their lives for 21 seasons now under IJS. Like, fix it, get multiple camera angles. The people that are doing this technology, somehow combine it all so you get multiple angles all at once. I mean, there has to be. I
And
don't even know that that's their
right.
excuse. They're going to say, "Oh, it looked fine to me,"
And
probably,
sometimes they
but
just don't even review it.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
I told you, I literally watched the judging panel, not even. review
Yeah.
Zero Elements when the Medieval won World in 2016.
Yeah.
And then they were all watching the replay on the Jumbotron, and they all got to watch her giant
Cringy.
klutz
Yeah.
that they didn't even
Yeah. Yeah.
bother to
Yeah.
review. Yep.
Oh, so really
I'm just like, great,
side
there it
story
is.
again. We have to go into a side story again because I don't think we've talked about this here. But Thomas, when he goes to competitions, which he goes to more than I do, at least he did. I think we're going to I'm gonna get up to that level now
Same
that I
amount
have a
now,
job
yeah,
that
I think,
allows me
yeah.
to. But he likes to get seats that are right behind the judges,
The
and
technical,
it be
the
for that
technical panel
reason the
specifically, yeah.
technical panel's even closer because they sit higher up, and he's very good at watching what they do as far as calls because you don't see that. We don't see the protocol, we don't see what's under review, we don't see any of that. He can see what they're doing. He's seen ice dancing technical panelists kind of argue with each other to get their way on certain calls. He sees everything, and he's very good at knowing exactly what they're doing and kind of we're gonna look the other way for this one, but the next one we're gonna go to town. So it's very interesting, uh, I think, to listen to
Yeah.
some of your stories.
Yeah, and it's one of my favorite aspects too, because you see so much of it. Like you have official roles, right, in the judging, the technical panel, but it
Hmm.
really,
Yeah.
really it devolves into like three personalities trying to coexist, trying to come
Hmm.
up with like a decision.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're coming up with a group standard, but sometimes the recalls you've seen they get really intense and heated.
Hmm.
That happens sometimes, or where one person just has an outsized personality
Yeah.
and pretty much gets their way every time, which we've
Yeah.
seen in some competitions where a
I'm
bunch of
louder than
elements
you,
get
so I get it.
invalidated.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'm not like they're wrong. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just
Yeah.
about interpretation of the rules, which
Right.
this person
Yeah.
I'm referencing, I agree with every call this person has made when they invalidated
Yeah.
elements. So,
Yeah. Okay.
but yeah. So anyway, with Carrillo, like I don't know, I think he's really lucky that those two elements just didn't get called. Three, if you include the flip, because then he's out, right? And it really was that. But even then, like he held it together pretty well. Like you look
Yeah.
at his PCS, the judges are definitely rewarding it.
Yeah.
This
Well,
judge
should they though? I
ranked
mean, for that
one in
program.
presentation. I mean, I can see the word presentation maybe, right? Because
Yeah.
in terms of giving and
Hmm.
performing,
Hmm.
he's the class of the field in this event.
Hmm.
But in terms of like skating skills, composition, yeah, that's where I see the argument. I wouldn't be
Hmm.
giving him rank two in composition like a lot of these judges are.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. No, for sure
yeah.
not. No. No.
Mhm. But he got
Uh.
third PCS overall. I probably would have been like fifth or sixth, but
Hmm.
you know, that's just me giving some holistic overall impression. I'm not
Yeah.
actually, yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to Marsik from Ukraine. And again, I think, oh yeah, we did talk about it in the short program because it was already news when we did our video. But for people
Mhm.
that don't know or didn't realize, he posted to his Instagram that his bag of stuffed animals and gifts that he received after the short program, it was in the locker room. It was in a secure skater area. Someone ripped it open, took everything out of it, left the bag kind of in shreds. He took a picture of it and he said, he was very quick to say, I think the next morning he was like, I don't think this was one of the neutral athletes. Like, let's be clear about that. But he also, emphasized that there's kind of enemies that in this competition, as far as I'm guessing he's talking about Ukraine. Anyway, so my one hope for him was that he just keeps it together. And who cares about all these other people, what they think about him, what they think about Ukraine, the politics of everything, which should stay out of a skating competition anyways. Um, he really dicey. I'm gonna say he didn't blow it out of the water. Dicey for a minute, but he mostly kept it together. I think it was a
Yeah.
clear kind of I don't think there was anything controversial about him getting the spot. I think he really
Yeah.
definitely
No
earned
major
it.
errors at all in the program. I think you're right.
Yeah.
He totally kept it together. Like there was some weird inconsistent judging with like the GOEs for some of his
Yeah.
elements, but
Yeah.
that's about like it. Like I totally agree with him getting a spot just for that
Yeah.
too. I really enjoyed the program. It's empty, right? I
Yeah.
didn't get the story that was supposed to be happening. To me,
Yeah.
it still felt like a typical men's program because what he's just getting to Euphoria. So I'm like,
Hmm.
if not given this story, I'm like, oh, it's a generic Euphoria program. Got
Hmm.
it. Cool.
Hmm.
Oh, there's the angst and the
Yeah.
toon sadness. Got it.
Yeah. Podsalka
Like
was really
but
nice though. I mean, I think he
it
has a lot to
was.
offer.
It
Yeah.
got a Q.
Uh,
Yeah,
oh, did it? Wow. Hmm.
it got called Q. Right. Yeah. Right. Mhm. And then
Hmm.
some judges gave it -4. And I'm like, but
What?
aside from the Q, it's a clean element too, right? So to max to me, it's like a -2. My
I
I
don't
don't see
know.
where
I
you
mean,
get negative
this is
four
what
from
we're talking
this.
about. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand. If we did a side by side of him and Donovan, I am quite sure that Donovan's was more under
Yeah.
rotated, but that it is what it is. So
Oh, I
it's
agree. hmm I didn't see
uh
this lot. You have to slow it down to even see the Q for this. To
yeah.
me, like Donovan's live, to me, it looked
Yeah. Yeah, real time you
huge
could see.
under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Anyways.
Lee from Chinese Taipei, Taiwan.
Oh yes.
Oh my, I didn't even mention him as a potential, but I will tell you he was another one at Four Continents last year that hit it out of the park, and it was such a good skate. And then I was hoping at Worlds that
Hmm.
he would be able to sneak in there and get a spot because I thought, well, if he doesn't get a spot at Worlds because of his lesser technical content, there's no way he's going to qualify a spot at this competition. So at Worlds, I was really hoping he would just make it into the free skate and be done with it. I'm so excited. I don't even care that it was by like
Yeah.
0.03 or whatever it was.
And
I thought,
it was good.
yeah, yeah,
It was like
very
really
well
good. I
rounded.
really
Yeah.
enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like the skating felt light. It's like so much of skating can feel really like heavy in terms of like
Hmm.
team and
Hmm.
everything, and in terms of the actual skating skills. But
Yeah.
this, no, great, good skating skills, a really nice like theme. Like it was clean. He was really expressive, especially in that step sequence, because so few skaters are really able to perform in the step sequence to this level.
Hmm.
And you would think he's the way he's performing the step sequence, he's in like the top 10 in the world, but he's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
I think he was really hosed on PCS. There's an argument to where maybe he should win PCS in this competition. And you see
Hmm.
some judges here went for it. The Great British judge, the British judge, won in PCS, ranked one.
Well, well.
Yeah. But again, you could see to where some judges were trying to pull down his score, like his triple axel. It was called under, but one judge gave
Hmm.
it a -4.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, -4 for that. I don't. Okay, sure.
It was so tight. It was so
It
so tight.
was.
And now, these are our top five qualifiers. So now we're getting
Yeah,
into the absolute heartbreak.
right. And just that, if you look at here the ranking, the difference between fifth and sixth is what, 0.86 points.
And what's fifth through eighth though is only like 2 points or something, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just
Well.
like a pop jump,
Hmm.
fall versus a landing on something. It's just the margins here. And I feel really bad though between the fifth, sixth divides. And you
Well,
can start that because
because of a little spin mistake. I mean, without that, David is going to the Olympics, and you know what? He's been so gracious in not getting there. I
yeah,
don't.
he really has.
I heard that there's Fitter Kulish, the Latvian skater, doesn't have citizenship yet as the second Latvian.
Oh,
I don't. But there's other skaters that I know. One's a junior that doesn't have the minimums. I don't know about the other skater. Anyways, there's a small window of opportunity. I don't know what it's like to get Latvian citizenship if he's on
yeah,
track or not. So there's a small window there, I guess, if things don't work out. But David seems, he's been very gracious on social media. He's been very supportive of everybody else, unlike one of the other skaters that we'll get to in a few minutes. But for not even trying a triple X on this competition, which he did it at Masters, and I wish he would have just tried it because like,
right.
what
The
if
base
now? The
value
what if of
difference
all of
could have,
it, you
right?
know?
Because it was
Um,
such a small margin. Yep.
but he did, as far as jumps go in this competition, I mean, everything was rock solid. He didn't really put a foot wrong.
And
Um,
it was quality stuff. It wasn't just
mhm,
like he was barely hanging on. These were
yeah.
like great landings. And I
Hmm.
love just how he just kept his hands, palms open in so many of these landings
Hmm.
and just showcasing that control. I
Hmm.
was like, oh, that's just something you don't really see a lot today. They're either trying to disguise that they can't hold this landing and just doing some
Hmm.
type of like quick movement out of it. So he's not,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I that spin mistake really did at the very end felt like, oh no, no, it was so close, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then you're just
Yeah. It's like
it's an Eagles.
you're 95% of the way there, and then that happened. Um,
Mhm.
you know,
And he got
I
second in PCS overall.
and
You know,
he's always been an artistic skater. I think working with Kevin Amos though has really elevated him into kind of realizing the quality that he has
hmm
because in his older programs, I even commented like 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, he always had this skid spiral that he did that was really nice. Always had the quality of unique I guess choreography in general, but now he as a whole really has uh decent programs, and I think that he's being rewarded correctly for it. Just
I
so
agree.
unfortunate that he was that close. So
I know. Yeah, the next skater too. I felt very like bad
I was
about.
so sure that he was going to hold it together too.
I
This is Francois Pitot of
know.
France. I really was
Mhm.
like, he's stepping it up this year. He's realized that he is now, yeah, he's in control. He's in the driver's seat as far as this third spot goes. If he earns this spot here, most likely France will just go with him and say, yeah. sorry, Luke Economy, it's going to Francois. This was what
Exactly.
I thought was going to happen. It just from the beginning though, and I even as I'm watching, I wish I would have done like a live reaction. I'm like, oh, get it together. What is
I
happening? It's
know.
just
And
so
even with
much.
like
Yeah,
so many mistakes, so many,
he was
even with
still
all these
close.
mistakes, he was still close, right?
Yeah,
And to me, it's like, oh, so if he just goes for a triple sock out at the beginning of the program, he makes it.
yeah,
There's so many like little things like that here where he just would have made
yeah,
it. Like the triple loop and or double axle. He lands those clean, he makes it.
yeah,
A triple loop and double axle that he probably do in his sleep, right? Like
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
these, yeah, very sad because I love watching his skating. And you can still see some judges here giving him 11th in PCS, where I'm just like, what competition are you watching?
Yeah.
It's definitely not this one
Yeah.
because like he's just one of his natural just musicality. It's very easy. That
Yeah, but I
plus
do.
like the great
He was
posture and the
deflated.
extension.
He got
Yeah, at the
deflated
end.
as that went on, and and watching
Yeah,
that probably was the most heartbreaking kiss and cry. You could see it. I don't know.
there's no
And
competition. So
I mean, let's be we if we're saying like France has two spots. Now, they're not official by any means yet, but Adam was fourth in the world, Kevin was fifth in the world. They both
they're
qualified to the Grand
going.
Prix final. I mean, they're going, so it's
They're
and
going.
all these
They
other
could
skaters know that. So,
they can literally just skip out the rest of the year and be like, I'm only going to the Olympics.
well, I
What's
mean,
the French Fed going to do?
I love Kevin's skating, but he's fallen apart big time, and they've still, I think he was ninth at Nationals the year that he was just falling apart completely, and they still named him to the
Yeah.
European, and he was going to go to Worlds as far as I know, but he withdrew himself. So, I mean, those spots are a given, and I think every other French skater now knows, it is what it is. Their season is,
Yeah. Wrong to believe that. I wouldn't
yeah.
say that the Federation's wrong to treat it that way.
Mhm.
So, no, I agree.
Okay, Rishchenko
Yeah.
from Czechia. Okay, so listen, quads are great. He does quads, blah blah blah. Is there really much else to the program though?
Right.
Well, do you think there is,
And
honestly? Like, is
no,
there
there's
okay.
not.
Okay.
And then even then, so if you all don't know, he complained
Yeah.
um, after and basically said what he was just as good, if not better, than the fifth place
He said he
finisher.
did
So it's basically,
everything better, I think, than the fifth place skater, which we don't,
which is not true.
this is like we don't know where it came from, where the translation come, if it was in Russian, if it was in English or whatever. As far as I know, it was not clarified. But the thing is, the fifth place skater, if we're looking, would be Lee from Taiwan. So I don't know. I think that's like a slap in the face because if you're looking at Lee's all-around skating, I think that there's just not really
Much
a
better.
comparison as far as
He doesn't have
PCS
quads, and
goes.
that's really the only difference. But
Yeah.
right, and maybe the jump quality for the jumps that are landed isn't as good. But what Rytenko only had two clean jumps, nothing facets. He
Well,
had two falls.
I have to say also, I was going through my DMs of the past, and I know that I had an interaction with him that went on for quite a bit a few years ago. He was scheduled to go to Worlds one year. I want to say 2023. Maybe it was 2024. One of those years he was scheduled to go to Worlds. He was withdrawn from Worlds. He was not told about it. He ended up going on social
Oh,
media and he said something about Tomas Werner because Tomas was involved or still is involved in Czech. Yeah, maybe for all I know, he's the president of Czech skating. I don't know. But he said something that was very negative about him. He ended up deleting the post. So I'm talking to him and I'm asking him, well, like at that time, it might have even been 2022 because I was asking him, oh, did you show any like pro Russia or anything that they might have gotten mad? And he's like, no, I didn't do any of that. I'm in the dark. But anyways, even so, we saw that little glimpse of, I'm gonna open my mouth, and he did that on social media once upon a time. So I can't say I'm surprised at him saying that he essentially was robbed of a spot, but I just think everyone has different things that they hone in on skating, right? I love a
right.
good clean jump technique. I love that second mark. I love traditional skating skills and the basics, and you just see them. And I love a program that matches the choreography. I'm big about music, and it has to match the music. And I just don't feel like he has really any of that going for him. Me personally, I don't get any kind of feeling out of his program.
Yeah,
So,
it felt phoned in
uh,
to me. Totally
yeah,
phoned in. Like he was just going through the motions.
yeah. So he
And if you
focuses
landed
on
your
the jumps,
jumps,
and that's
I
it.
would have got it, but you
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah. So
Hmm.
I don't see that really an argument here. I don't think that
And he's
I know
not
he's
even
bitter,
sixth
but
place.
Yeah,
he's three
yeah,
places behind. And so
yeah.
that to me too. So it's like you're gonna trash the fifth
Are
place
you better
person.
than
How
fifth,
about the
sixth, and
sixth and
seventh?
seventh?
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Exactly. Mhm.
So,
And out of
right,
all those skaters we're talking about, these four, he crashed the most.
yeah,
So like, yeah,
yeah.
I don't feel for
Gartung
that.
from
Sorry.
Germany. I thought Gartung was going to
Yeah.
be. I thought he was kind of a shoe-in for one of the spots just based on those big jumps. Didn't do it here. He had the big spin mistake in the short program. Here, creeping in with those mistakes after, a good quad flip, a good quad lutz. This is the same story as Rishchenko.
Hmm.
The big jumps and the even bigger jumps. So I mean, if you're looking at those two, even you could say, well, I mean, Gartung can say, well, I did more difficult jumps than Rishchenko. Why am I not ahead of? There's just so much. Like if you're just
Exactly.
looking at that aspect of the skating, then whatever. I think Gartung is the youngest person. He probably has to be the youngest person there. He's 17. Has a lot of time to still build. I think he really does need to build that second mark. I think he's obviously been so gung ho about getting these big quads that it probably get sacrificed a little bit of
Yeah, and you can see
learning
that in the
the second.
spins. I think there's like stamina issues because she's
Mhm.
clearly
Oh
not
yeah, the
working on the
spins.
spins as
Yeah,
much, and
yeah,
then clearly there's not enough in the tank to even get them done at the end.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So unfortunately for him too, he's down in what, ninth place, or yeah, ninth, I think.
overall, yes, yes,
Yeah, ninth
ninth.
place. So,
Mhm.
not he's looking down the list, he would be like fourth alternate, not. Anyways, he doesn't even have citizenship. It was questionable whether he would get it in time or if it would go to like Nikita Starostin or something if he did end up earning the spot. So, time to grow, and I know no one wants to hear that it's not your time yet, but I think he just needs a little bit more time to refine his overall skating. And, he's young enough that he can really go back to hit the basics hard, and I think he could become well-rounded. Yeah. So that's basically. I There were a lot of heartbreak skates, like I said, further on the list. I mean, Yari Kessler, Mark Henretti once again was all just raving so much about his skating. Walter Vertinen, who has been around forever. He's 38. He's essentially our age. He was trying this last ditch effort, but he came in. I don't know if he has injury going on or not, but it was a really rough skate for him. Uh, and then some of the other skaters that are really down there, they know they had no chance. There was a skater that has it. I looked at his ISU bio, and the first time he's really ever competed was either late last year or early this year,
Oh
internationally. Like
wow,
he has no record of any other skating, and he seemed, super excited in the kiss and cry. I think he finished like second to last place. But you see the big difference between the skaters that have really kind of had these maybe outside shot hopes and the other skaters that are just happy to be there and start building up on their careers. But there was a little bit of everything. So, it was a wild, kind of emotional ride, I think, for almost all of the
yeah.
skaters. But again, there were
And
so many enjoyable programs, so many enjoyable programs.
yeah, a lot. And I really enjoyed the competition too. You'd think like an Olympic qualifying competition for these last spots, like
Hmm.
you wouldn't think it would have been as good as this was overall.
Hmm.
I really enjoyed it, even again with all the heartbreaks. I guess the biggest thing is what was more heartbreaking, dance or men's?
Hmm. Oh, and I actually have to correct something. Now's the best time, I guess. Better late than never.
Okay.
We were talking about Jason Chan, and I saw this comment that he didn't have citizenship yet. He's been an Australian citizen since 2022. So that we're talking about ice dance, but he's for sure. And I even said
Okay,
the
got it.
reaction of the kiss and
Great.
cry, like that's not the reaction of someone that might be going to the Olympics. So yes, he's in.
Right.
There's no question there.
And then we still have to look that up to see when the actual deadline is for these companies to like relinquish the companies, these countries to relinquish their spots. Because there are skaters and some teams out there with like slivers of hope for making
Hmm.
it into the
Hmm.
individual competition here.
Yeah,
Um,
and well, I did
so we'll
also
see.
read the Dutch pairs team has to, throughout the season, I think they could designate two competitions in which they need to score a certain minimum to be able to be named to the
Oh, to even
Olympics.
be sent
But
to the
they're,
Olympics,
yeah,
that
they're a
like,
strong team. So I mean, as long as they
yeah,
don't really get the nerves, I don't think that's going to be a big hurdle for them. Hopefully, because I also really like them. But other than that, I don't think. I think the men are pretty much locked in. Uh,
okay, yeah. So
I
the only
think,
thing is like, does the spot open up in dance and does the spot open up in pairs? I think that's what we're waiting to see.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
the women are pretty set.
Mhm. But like I really love this competition. I really hope they keep it next cycle. I hope they find a way to even like
Oh,
make
they
it
have to.
bigger even
Yeah.
too, because it's just really exciting to me. I was really looking forward to this, and
I understand why they put it
I
in China because China's like very eager to host a lot of stuff. I mean, in the past
yeah.
they've given back a lot of stuff, and I'm surprised that because they did do that, that the ISU is so ready to put events there still. But I do hope that it's maybe in a more accessible location. That but you put it in the United States, and you would assume it's going to be, oh wow, that's so great. The Grand Prix final, the one time it was in the United States, literally the one time that was in the U.S., the audience, the attendance was abysmal. So I don't even, and every time it's been, the four continents has been in the United States, it's been not that great as well. So I don't think that
Yeah.
putting it in the US is the answer, but I think you should put it somewhere more accessible where people are going to actually go and attend and be all wild
I mean,
because
I think it's also too the countries that are willing to lose money on hosting these competitions,
right,
right?
right,
So, like in the U.S., that's not happening at all. A
right.
federation or a local organization, they're not going to apply even unless they think
Yeah,
they can make money off of
yeah.
this. Whereas all these countries like China, right, or
Hmm.
Taiwan does that too. I think South Korea even eats the costs for some of these competitions.
Hmm.
They're not worried about necessarily making a profit from them, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, well, and you also
and that's why we see
remember
these in China.
Estonia that held
Oh,
they held Europeans one week and the next week they held four continents because it all
and
fell
they were
through that year.
and those companies were very well attended.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I hope they made a lot of money because we owe them so much gratitude for just last minute hosting for continents.
Yeah. So in the end, I think we both really loved the vibes of this competition.
Hmm.
I remember in 1997 being at the time of the Olympic qualifier, I would have been 11. And in 97, the big story was Liu Chen, who finished 25th at Worlds the year before. She has to go to this competition, but please, like, it's never going to be aired. There's no clips, there's no social media, there's nothing. So you reload like crazy on the computer trying to get the
Yeah,
results. And she ended up
I
finishing
still
third
remember
in that
that, right?
competition. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you're
So
like
she,
hoping for people who are attending the competition to then
to give
like
reports. Yeah.
to give
Yeah.
reports later.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
even, or if someone happens to have live access
Yeah.
at
It used
home.
to, oh my God, it used to be so bad. It literally used to be so bad. I remember even this is into the early 2000s. I remember 2003 Worlds. There was like a Turkish stream that was, I'm talking like the smallest pixelated
Yeah,
window ever. But this is how in the United States we don't see all the skaters. A lot of these skaters we've never seen because it's resorted to the top six or whatever at most competition. So I'm watching this tiny, tiny screen in the corner, and I remember I watched the entire ladies. It was called ladies back then. Ladies short program on the screen, and I was so excited to see all these skaters I had never seen because skating video clips weren't really a thing yet, and whatever.
right,
But
right.
the point being, at that time, the ISU was so slow about everything, not the results. Like the live results page was always updated in a timely fashion. But I remember that entire competition. Back then, I knew a lot of the skaters that were competing. A lot of them were my age, and I would go to them. I'd be like, "Hey, do you have like the starting order yet? Do you have like the draws?" So I would post the draws like before the ISU even because they'd take their it would take like 6 hours for it to be posted, and some of the skaters would be like, "No, we got it here. Like here, you like, do you want the list?
Yeah,
Here's the
no,
list."
they offer they
Yeah,
literally, yeah, the printout. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So I mean, I don't. The times have definitely changed. Just circling back to where we're at. I mean, to even think that this Olympic qualifying competition would become as big as it is, I've
And then you
always
could watch
thought
it
it was exciting.
live.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right,
So
exactly. Mhm.
it's a great
Our
idea.
sport's so much more accessible today.
Well, yeah, even that, but like I think the ISU made a great choice in making this a standalone competition. It got the attention properly for being an Olympic qualifying competition rather than a
Hmm.
mix of some other whatever. But yeah, it's here to stay, I would say. They just need to fix
Good.
that rule about going down the list and giving the spots as the
I agree.
results are, and then you almost have it perfect. You really almost have this whole qualifying situation perfect. What would be even better is if the IOC didn't keep chipping away at these maximum numbers in the Olympics because now you have like
I
19 and you have
know.
like 29 instead of 30. Like it's weird, but it is what it is. They have to make room
And
for.
I know, I get it. I know part of the reason they did that for the individual competitions was to make room for the team event because they knew that some countries would need that extra
Hmm.
quota,
Hmm.
right, to qualify a full team.
Hmm.
So I know that was part of the reason. And I know they're trying to save costs for local organizing committees. But what happens to these athlete quarters after? Oh, most of them just become rundown. They just become an economic drain on the city.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I get it. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not happy about it.
Yeah.
I want everyone to go. So
But I think that the process of qualifying now is really good. And
Yeah.
the ISU has done a lot. I will say the ISU has just made a lot of changes that make a lot of sense to me. They're almost there.
Right. And we remember
They're
it's
almost
so
there.
funny. We used to be exclusively critical of ISU.
Oh my God, yeah.
And recently
I
I
used to
found
email
myself to
them
be
all the
like,
time, all the time, and
and then I find myself, yeah.
I would tell the judges that I knew and the technical specialists and the technical control. I'm like, why is this why is this like this? You know, I that the time that they sent that third Chinese pair to junior world because I'm big on numbers. I'm like, why are they competing? Even prior to them competing, I'm like, why are they competing? Why are they competing? The rules are they earned 2010 junior worlds. They earned two junior pairs. I kept asking why they compete, why they compete, why they compete. They competed after the fact. I'm like honing in on this. I made a blog post that kind of blew up, not blew up, but in skating circles, it's like being like passed around the internet. Finally, the ISU does something about this, and they just cross out the third place team and like, oh, we made a mistake. Like, how? Like, there's no, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so I just pulled up the ISU results page. Way back in the day, it was called Ice Calc. If you remember that, that's what we used to
I
call it.
remember.
Yeah. So on the results page at the bottom, it says, due to a wrong entry, the pair of Yu and Jin from China, originally placed eighth in the final result, had to be deleted. In the corrected version of each result of segment and final, each of the lower placed couples will move up accordingly. Due to the deletion, blah blah blah. Only 15 pairs will be listed for the final result as having skated the free program. So
So they got to pick
literally,
and choose the lowest.
well,
So they just crossed off the
they
lowest placing pair
they picked out the lowest
after
pair.
the
Yeah.
fact of
Yeah.
the competition already being completed.
Yeah. So I
Oh,
go
it's
way
just
back with the ISU. I go way back with them. So um
even that's insanely problematic.
yeah, man, they did something. I didn't even think I think they would
But
just be like,
but
"Oh, our mistake."
but going back to today, I just agree with so many decisions they're making. Like just the competition formats, they're just making a lot of changes that to me are moving in a positive direction.
Hmm.
Are just more fan friendly, more engaging, and even then, like addressing the really like crazy level fans like we are, and so many people
Hmm.
watching are like,
Well, I think we're in a
yeah,
generation now of people that are just curious about the foundations of the sport rather than just saying, I like the music. I love the program. This was great. I
right,
think people really they've grown up now and only knowing this system. So they like seeing the protocols and they like learning these finer rules. And I think that with the 6.0 system, when they transitioned to the IGS, there was a lot of pushback from longtime fans that were like, no, this is not good. We don't like this. It's too complicated, too many numbers. We love numbers. I feel like a lot of the younger fans are into the whole of the sport rather than just like little aspects. So yeah, I think everything's going the right direction. I think they're making it fresher for younger people, which I'm not discounting older people that have stuck with the sport forever, but it has to move forward in a way that's going to stick to the younger people, and you can't be stuck,
hmm
at things that worked 40 years ago. So I think as a whole, it's going in the right direction. I think that the light shows and the LED boards and all that stuff is it might be over the top for some people but that's it's entertainment and it's sport and that's just where we're at in the world as far as is
I
attracting
agree.
people to these things.
There's a lot of things that is called like, it's ADHD blank, right? This is like
Hmm.
ADHD sports. And so much of
Hmm.
that is like that now, right? It's like really
Yeah,
quick. You don't have long attention span. So how do we keep just throwing
yeah,
something different in your face?
yeah,
I think they're doing a great job of that. Like
yeah.
even like at the competitions, we're seeing right after the skates. There's immediately something to draw your attention to. There's the announcers there. Then they have the
Hmm.
replays. You're watching that. The announcers, the quick interview in the kiss and
Hmm.
cry
Yeah,
before the scores come
that
up.
needs to
They're
go
just
away.
constantly keeping
Yeah,
your attention. Oh yeah, I don't
yeah,
like that one either.
yeah,
But
that needs to
again,
go.
that could
Yeah,
be generational purists. It's for me. I'm like, if that's me, don't talk to me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what one
Um,
thing though that they can do, and this is not their fault. I think this is the IOC scheduling, and this is the Olympic scheduling. The team event needs to come after the individual event.
last
It
needs
needs
to be
to.
last.
It's been something that a lot of us have been saying since the first time it happened in 2014. It needs to be after the individual event because you have skaters that are in contention for the individual medals, which for a lot of them, if they're in contention for both, they really want to probably get the individual medal. And they're being forced into this situation where they might have to skate a few extra times as compared to
Right.
their competitors that
And
don't have to.
too, right. And it's a team event, you see that to where like the best skaters aren't doing the long programs. Like
Yeah,
especially like you saw the US, like Nathan Chen didn't bother doing the long in the
yeah,
team. I wouldn't either. who has the mental emotional stamina to really go through two full Olympic competitions? Nobody.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can see to where that event right after the team event always has some level drop off.
And then as far as the individual fields, yeah, we can say from this competition, you have to put both of the neutral Russian athletes in contention for the medals. Like we said, Petrosian may not be our cup of tea, but the thing is, if she lands the more difficult jump, she's going to run away with the TES more or less, and the PCS that's going to be high anyways, as we saw here. It's really going to be an afterthought if she does have that boost in the
Yeah.
TES. So she has to be considered
Um,
a favorite for the gold medal. She just has to be. Um,
yeah, definitely better chances than Gumenek.
yeah,
Personally, I think it should be in terms of who was the better
yeah,
chance, like whatever. But
yeah.
yeah, I agree with you because the Trojan just has like a technical advantage above the field if she's healthy. We didn't see that here.
I mean,
We
she
might
still
see it at the
skated really
Olympics.
well,
She
but
did,
it's
but I mean,
not
like, yeah, the
enough.
triple
Yeah,
axle, the quads, we
yeah,
didn't see that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
mhm.
And then Gumenek, like we said in this men's review, I think that he's putting himself in there as a potential challenger to that
And
bronze
right,
medal.
and there's a lot of men in the hunt for that third medal. I know we have like
A
conventionally
lot.
the two favorites, right? But even then, Kageyama can be iffy,
Yep.
as we've seen like all last
Amos can
season.
skate the skate of his life. They'll give him
And
the scores.
right, hmm
There's others. Jason Brown, on a really good day could sneak in there even with no quad. I mean, he almost
Jason
won the
Brown
free skate
clean
at
could
World Team
exactly
Trophy. So, that you can't
right.
discount him. Daniel Grassel, they could look the other way on all of his jump rotation, and he could be up there. There's Mamela if he does the quad flip and quad lutz all over the place. There's a lot of skaters that are in there. Of course, Kao Miura, who's very inconsistent, but if he ever got it together, he would be right in there for a bronze medal. Shun Sato, the list goes on forever. It's just going to go
I
on forever.
know.
You're going to see skaters outside the top 10 that would have been, maybe potentially bronze medalists. So, of course, like we
Right,
keep repeating, the men's field is the most stacked, the most exciting, but I do think Gumenik is uh,
he's in that mix. He's in the mix. He
it
definitely is.
depends. It just depends because now he goes and sits out, skates domestically for 4 months, whatever. But I do think my absolute favorite moment of this entire competition was his twizzles in the step sequence. I mean, I'm a sucker for that kind of quality, and he turns so effortlessly
Yep.
both ways. That was my highlight of the competition. So we'll see what he does. We'll see what the judges feel like doing, I guess, with these skaters. But yeah, we have a lot that we are going to cover between now and the
hmm
Olympics. I mean, the Grand Prix is coming
I
up, which for a lot of fans is like the
know.
start of the season, and then it starts just piling up
Yeah,
every single week.
I colloquially call yeah colloquially call the Grand Prix the start of the season, and everything is the preseason before that. So almost
Hmm.
like you're talking about like football or basketball or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, there's a lot more. I know we'll have like a catch up episode. There's a lot of news that happened that we talked about, like for example, Keegan Messon coming back. What impact does
Hmm.
that have?
Hmm.
Some challengers already happened, and it was quite a few, just kind of like shaking out all those results and like where does that
Hmm.
leave us? We have a lot of
Hmm.
program impressions now that we've seen for the first time. Some are great, and I really hate to say this, and I'll give a little preview of these comments, but like I actually really enjoy Fournier Baudry and Cizeron, and I don't really want to.
Their free dance is amazing. We'll get into all
He's
this
so
stuff.
good.
One piece
There's
of news though
yeah.
that actually happened today, and I saw
Oh,
this coming
okay.
from a mile away. Alyssa Liu, because of the situation with one of the singers in her short program, she announced today she doesn't feel, it's her kind of beliefs and
Okay,
her
good.
feelings. She's getting rid of
Because
that
Reddit is
program.
talking about it. It made Reddit front page. So
Yeah,
like, yeah, 100% change that program.
yeah, yeah. So that's she'll get a different program. Well, for me, it was common sense.
Yeah,
She's
of
she's in a
course.
generation where, of course, like this is going to be a big deal for her. She needs to
Yeah.
separate herself from that.
And hopefully we're going to hear that she's coming back with two new programs because, well,
We'll
I'll
get
talk
into
more
all
about
that.
that. But
We'll get into all of that. Yeah. But for now,
yeah,
okay, so this we've gone into so many tangents. I thought this
yeah,
video was going to be so
I
quick,
know, I
but
know, I know.
I had to just throw in my digs at the ISU from 15 years ago. Um, so this is our wrap up for Skate to Milano. Like we said, we love this competition. We've reviewed all of the competitions. The final
Mhm.
Olympic spots are at least established for right now as this temporary to be confirmed list, but we have a good idea of who will show up at the Olympics now.
Yeah.
Um, like always, comments, concerns, questions. I'm buttoned to right here, just in case anyone's wondering. It's not down to my waist. But yeah, as always, comments, questions, concerns, any corrections that you have. I'm sure we got a few things wrong, as always. But for now, hope you enjoyed. And until next time, my
Yeah.
name is Tony Wheeler.
And I'm Thomas.
Thank you for watching the skating session.
All right, bye everyone.